but as a culture, we tend to be somewhat fixated on everything young and youthful, whether it's a woman's face and body or that early season of motherhood, the pregnant bellies, the diapers, all of that really early days of motherhood stuff, which is an incredible season to be in. But I sometimes find that because there is this constant pressure on everything to stay young and young and young, that we are missing out on the beautiful messages about this next chapter. Because I'm telling you right now, if you're in those early throes of motherhood, dude, it gets better. Hey friends, and welcome to my channel. I'm AmandaMuse, and this is episode 4 in a series I've been putting together this month, basically exploring the last 10 years of being a content creator here on YouTube. Who would have thought that 10 years later I'd still be doing this? Not me. Mind you, my work ethic and sheer determination, in light of many people saying this is not going to work out, still did it. Still here. And I'm honestly so happy to be here. And this particular video is going to be all about what is coming next for me. For the AmandaMuse corner of the internet, what can we expect? What can you expect as a supporter, as a viewer of what's next, this next chapter? Fast forward 10 years, here I am, I'm 38 years old, I have 2 kids, my daughter Esme is 10, and my son Jack is 8, and they are both just wrapping up grade 5 and grade 2. It's an exciting time. Add to that, the little cherry on top is my husband Dean, who has been on furlough, has been unemployed for the last 2 years, is now finally back to work in his profession, which is a pilot, and we are just thrilled. Literally every day, I find there's a moment in and amongst just the chaos of being a homeowner, a woman, a mother, all these things. I'm reminded about how grateful I am in this moment. There are so many things I'm not stressing about anymore, and that is lovely. Trust me, other stressors have found their way in and occupy my brain, but that stress of security and safety and finances finally is by the wayside. Now, of course, after 2 years of one income, there's a little bit of catching up one must do. So I still intend on working and maintaining incredible partnerships with brands that I've worked with over the years and new brands as the years go on. So that's not changing. One thing I did recently was a little bit of a brand overhaul. So you've probably heard people talk about that, like as creators, as influencers, such a nasty word. Ooh. But these people, like myself, who work in this industry, we tend to have things that we talk about. I would consider myself niche in some respects, and then because I fall under the lifestyle category, I do talk about quite a bit of things. But I really wanted to narrow in on what is it that I want to be talking about, that I want to be sharing about in this next chapter. There are 5 things that I'm going to be talking about, which will come as no surprise because I have been talking about them over the years, but I'm being very intentional now. So we're going to be talking about health, aging, relationships, motherhood, and adventure. Ooh, that last one, I can't even wait. Those are the 5 topics that I tend to talk about all the time, filter in some humor and, the je ne sais quoi about Amanda, and there you have the AmandaMuse brand in a nutshell. And so I really want to be intentional with the topics that I cover. So when I think about here on YouTube specifically, how do I want to show up? I'm definitely mindful of energy and output and time that it takes to create for each platform. And YouTube is a beast of a platform. And over the years, I have tried 5 videos a week, 3 videos a week, 1 video a week, no videos a week. You take breaks as time goes on. And what I'm finding is that now that there's all these other little platforms that we create on, I'm going to be committing to 1 video a week here on YouTube. It'll be longer form. You grab yourself a cup of coffee, a nice hot cup of tea, and we hang out for 20 minutes or so. And it's going to be in the topics that I was previously mentioning of the 5 things: health, aging, relationships, motherhood, and adventure. Some theme in that way. Some will be this style where we're chatting and it's more conversational. And others will be vlog style, relaxed. Maybe I take you on an adventure if we go somewhere really cool and I want you to come along. In terms of professionally and how I make my income, YouTube has often been where I share most of my brand partnerships. And over the years, that's kind of shifted a little bit where they pop up on Instagram and occasionally on TikTok. So I do hope to continue to share certain partnerships here on my channel. And as always, my intention is that the partnership has some benefit to you, the viewer. Naturally, it's benefiting me because of the fact that I can support my family financially. It's really good when you can pay your mortgage. But also, I don't want it to be something that just seems frivolous in nature. And so I take that really seriously. And probably the toughest part about my gig, this job, is that when I have a brand want to work with me, the toughest part for me is that moment where I sit down and I have to really brainstorm how I'm going to bring this partnership to life. What will the content look like? What will the video look like? How will I roll this out in a very genuine way so that I always maintain that authenticity in how I create? That is truly the toughest part. And it can take me hours sitting on my computer, typing out what this video is going to look like, how I want the messaging to appear, and have that be aligned with myself and, of course, the brand. So that's like the trickiest part of my job, truthfully. That's the part that I spend most time in my head. And as much as it's the creative element, it's not as, fly by the seat of your pants when you're working with a brand, because you want to ensure that they are highlighted in a really nice and professional way and that everyone's happy in the end, right? So I really do hope to continue to share those types of partnerships here on YouTube. And when I do, I often feel this obligation, like if I have a sponsored video in a week, that I should throw in some more content that isn't sponsored. And I'm trying to not do that as much, because I do feel that the videos I put together, there's substance, there's value to them, and I need to be mindful of my energy and my output. You know what I mean? We can't just be constantly creating. And in terms of how I'm sharing who is AmandaMuse to you, I feel like right now, what I want to be, what I hope to be, is that mom, that woman that is there for women in this next chapter of motherhood. So 10 years ago, when I was creating content, I was definitely speaking to new moms, those in the throes of early motherhood, newborns, toddlers, baby-led weaning, diapers, potty training, like the whole thing, sleep deprivation. I was here for it. Fast forward 10 years, I'm still a mom. It just looks a little different. So I definitely still want to continue to talk about elements of motherhood in this next chapter, because what I find right now is that I don't have someone that I can just mention off the top of my head that has older children and that is sharing about motherhood right now. Now, I've thought about that because I thought, well, why? Why is that the case? And I have a hunch that a part of it is that as our kids get older, there's this huge element of consent, which is very important that we as parents consider when we show our children online. But I think that there's a way to share about motherhood that isn't always about showcasing the children front and center. You know what I mean? So when I share with Esme, which if you follow me on TikTok or Instagram, you'll occasionally see her more often, or even, my last video where I sat down and asked her about life, she fully consented to being part of it. And that's really important because as she gets older, her friends have access to the internet. They can follow along what I'm up to, and I never want her to be embarrassed or Jack to be embarrassed what I show and talk about online. But I do still think that mothers in this season require support, and I want to be that person. I want to talk about what it's like to be getting older, being a woman, having relationships, family dynamics with our children, yes, our partners, our friends, ourselves, all of this stuff that encompasses this next season of motherhood. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again, but as a culture, we tend to be somewhat fixated on everything young and youthful, whether it's a woman's face and body or that early season of motherhood, the pregnant bellies, the diapers, all of that really early days of motherhood stuff, which is an incredible season to be in. But I sometimes find that because there is this constant pressure on everything to stay young and young and young, that we are missing out on the beautiful messages about this next chapter. Because I'm telling you right now, if you're in those early throes of motherhood, it gets better. In fact, yes, I miss those scrumptious chubby little babies, but I don't miss the version of myself then. I was tired. I was worn out. I had no time for myself. And yes, parenting continues to have its challenges, but you also continue to have time for yourself. And I appreciate that not everybody's lifestyle and circumstance is going to be the same. So it is a delicate way that I want to share this message. And, it's a what works for me may not work for you, but look what could be happening, or look what is happening. And please share your ways, how we do on this channel. Potentially, though, the thing I'm excited about the most is that fifth pillar, that adventure pillar, whether it's day-to-day adventures that I'm having right now, just doing fun things, friendships with my friend Jack, my 93-year-old neighbor, the relationship I have to fitness and how I like to get out and move my body, but specifically adventure when it comes to literally getting onto a plane and traveling somewhere. Please, yes, all of the above. It may come as a surprise to some of my viewers, potentially some of my newer viewers, how much of a travel bug I actually have deep in my soul. I've lived in many places. Like I grew up in Quebec, in Montreal, in the suburbs, and then I moved to Toronto, and then I moved to Vancouver, and then I moved overseas to Malaysia, and then I moved back, and then I moved to another province. Like I've kind of jumped around a bit, and I've been to some amazing places and had incredible adventures, and I'm genuinely so excited about the adventures and the possibility that I can have now. One of the perks about being married to a pilot at the airline that he's with is that myself and my children have access to unlimited passes. We do have to pay taxes and things, but this is a major perk. It might be the only perk about being married to a pilot. I'm just throwing that out there. If you know any pilots, if you happen to be married to one as well, if you are one, then they're not the easiest bunch. It's not the easiest life, but perks. So we're going to take advantage of the perks, and I have some plans. This summer, I want to take my kids to Italy. Fingers crossed that happens. We do have a fairly action-packed summer. I have a sister getting married. There's a lot of stuff happening there. There's summer camps. There's things going on around the house. And then, of course, there's adjusting to my husband's new schedule. I have no idea what his flight schedule will be like. And if you remember from days, earlier days, with pilots, you tend to only know about a month in advance what their schedule is going to be like. So I'm back to that, what's the term? It's not solo parenting. I'm trying to stay away from that term of like being a single parent, because it's not that. It's where you're the primary parent. You're the default parent, I think is the right word there. So we're back to that, but default parenting with older kids, which looks a little different. They're far more independent. But yes, I cannot wait for the adventures. So that's going to happen. And of course, it's not going to be like your classic travel vlogger style, because I'm still me. I'm still very chatty, potentially oversharing, but also like trying not to break the bank, So it's going to be really fun. And I'm really excited to share more in that regard. So where will I be creating? As I mentioned earlier, at least once a week here on YouTube. Instagram, I share regularly. I share in the stories every day, and I share at least 1 or 2 posts a day in the feed. But my new love is TikTok. And I know, TikTok has a bad reputation amongst people over 30. But please don't knock it till you try it. I potentially have never laughed as hard as I do when I'm on TikTok. I love that the algorithm works in this magical way that you're served pieces of content that you actually like. So I'm on like a strange sober side of TikTok, but I'm here for it. I love seeing people in their come back into power and strength and share their hardship kind of stories. I'm on like funny rabbit and horse TikTok. I'm here for it. Hilarious women, strong mothers, just keeping it real. Like it's content I want. It's not all dancing teenagers, okay? Sometimes I dance, so there. But not always. It's definitely changed to be shorter form content, but there's storytelling, there's humor, there's camaraderie. I'm kind of obsessed. I've also kind of had a little moment over on TikTok recently where a particular video has had some viral success. But the beautiful thing about the video that chose to go viral, because no one ever knows when that will happen, is that I've amassed this group of women and mothers who are looking specifically for a woman talking about this next chapter of motherhood. Like, could that have worked better? I'm gonna go with no, it couldn't. So it's amazing. So I I feel like I put my energy out into the world to be talking about motherhood in this next season, and the one video that I literally was just talking to the camera about it chose to pop off, and here we are really pushing me down that pathway. So I'm really excited to share more. I've been putting up about 2, maybe 3 videos a day over on TikTok. So what you can expect on TikTok is definitely a more casual approach to how I share here on YouTube. Less planned, you're just kind of holding up the camera and having some fun. There's these fun trends that you can do, but there's ways to make it your own. And especially when I start traveling and getting back out there into the world, it's so easy to just create a little TikTok and post it. It's not as labor intensive as YouTube. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm always going to be here on YouTube for at least 1 video a week. But if you're looking for more of that like daily interaction, Instagram and TikTok are definitely where I'll be. Now the podcast. I had this amazing announcement earlier, or actually late last year, where I partnered with Chorus and we were working on my podcast Friendo. And what I found is that at the start of this year, as Dean got back to work, honestly, I don't want to say like a mental breakdown because that's a bit intense, but I definitely just had to pause everything and allow myself breathing space. And so the podcast has fallen to the wayside. And for now, I'm going to leave it. You know, there's some incredible episodes out there, and I encourage you to head over there and listen in case you haven't checked out the podcast. There's amazing conversations and really interesting topics. But for now, I just find that it's a little too much for me to manage as, you know, a party of one doing all the things here in my little corner of the internet. But it is there, and I may come back to it, maybe in just like little batches. But for now, it's on pause. And I thank you so much for your support for the podcast. I think you just need to know when to put something down. And that is the case for now. But if you want to go check it out, it's Friendo, wherever you find podcasts. Probably one of the most exciting things I'm working on right now is a fun little segment where I'm co-hosting a new series over on Cityline. So I'm going to put the link to it below. It won't be out. I don't quite have confirmation as to when it's coming out, but it's amazing. My co-host is incredible. She's this wonderful woman named Lisa Chang. They're an incredible group over at Cityline, and it's really fun to be part of this little project. It's not something I've ever worked on before, but I just love it. I absolutely love being on set, that energy that comes with, you know, a live recording and having a co-host to bounce stuff off of. It's just super fun. So I'm going to definitely share more when those go live, but I'll link it below to a previous segment I did with this incredible makeup artist named Tracy. I'm going to leave it all below and you can check that out. But you'll see, like, I swear I just come to life when I do that stuff. So it's funny. I would say that most people who work in traditional media tend to cross over to YouTube, but I'm going the other way. I'm going YouTube social media and crossing over to traditional media. And I love it. I love both. I got to admit, I love that I get to do both traditional media and social media. There's elements of both that I absolutely just have so much fun doing. And again, like I said at the top, I just can't believe this is my gig. This is my job. And I actually genuinely love doing it. And I feel that spark again. I feel excited about being in my office. You know, for a while there, I couldn't even come in here without feeling super stressed out. So I'm grateful for you guys to allow me the opportunity to have a little break and support me when I come back and do my thing. And so thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, you guys are amazing. Is it changing too much from what I've done in the past? Not really. Not really. I just find I really flourish when I have a commitment and a schedule that I need to stick to. And so really outlining that and what it's going to look like is going to help me keep on keeping on. So before I wrap this up, I want to remind you to leave some questions for Dean and I in the comments below. I'm going to specifically be addressing antidepressants, the process of going on and then subsequently coming off of them. So if you have any questions for antidepressants, SSRIs, leave them below. And then the second video is that next week will be the final episode in this series, A Decade Young, where Dean and I sit down and tackle all of your questions and just give you an overall update about how things have been, you know, what we're both excited about to come next for us and, you know, the season of life that we're in. So be sure to leave your questions below. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next week or on TikTok or Instagram or wherever else you want to follow. I'm going to leave all the links below. Bye, guys.